Hi, I'm Scott Garriott, and made a few vinyl videos recently about some of the best records I picked up in 2024, and I left some off of the those videos that I wanted to show. Now, just to quickly show some of the other ones that I left off. Some of the ones I left off are just as good or better than the ones I showed. This is a Canadian pressing of Dark Side of the Moon, and it's got it's like not a first press, but it's like a 70s press, and it's got the postcards that came with it, and I believe it has the posters as well. Yeah, it's got the posters in there too. Although I had one, I can't remember if this came with it or if I Frankensteined them with another copy I had that was like a 70s US press. I think they might have had one of the posters in there already, but anyway, I definitely should have showed that one in my video. This is Elliott Smith, Either Or, my favorite Elliott Smith album. And this is a re-release that came out this year. Indie exclusive. It's like a expanded edition. It's got like a bunch of outtakes, which I have not listened to the outtakes and alternate versions, but great album. Worth having on vinyl. I'd like to get an original someday. This is one that I found at a garage sale. Wilson Pickett in the midnight hour. Thought that was worth it for a couple bucks, for sure. This is kind of an oddball one. This is Wheeler Walker Jr. He's a country musician, but not a standard country musician. He writes these very profane, extremely profane, explicit songs, but they're so catchy and so well written. It's just kind of a weird contradiction where they just seem like they should be total just profane jokes, but they're just really, really great melodies and some good musicianship as well in those. Kind of a satire, to be honest. I don't think their songs are meant to be serious, but they're good songs. This is a copy of Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Water. Shrink and the Hype sticker. I always like finding those, especially when they're cheap like this one was. Excuse me. Have The Who Sell Out. For some reason I can never find like a totally clean copy of this with a nice cover, but this was pretty good. It wasn't too expensive, so someday I'd like to get like a real nice copy of it, but I just never find them. This isn't that impressive, but it was like $3, so that's cool. It's like a repress of Procol Harum's album, the one that has Whiter Shade of Pale on it. This is John Cale, Paris 1919. I had an original US copy and I stupidly sold it, but this is an original UK copy, so it was nice getting that to replace it. Alright, we got Slint Spiderland. I've owned this before. This is a new press that just came out. It's a classic album, a very unique classic album from the 90s, and I believe this is a release this year, this version of it, but I'd like to get the original of that, but they're very expensive. I showed this on my vinyl tag video. It's Rolling Stones Sticky Fingers, Between the Buttons in the shrink with this nice little Rolling Stone sticker on it. It's a mono copy. Some Girls. This is I believe Australian version, but I have a copy of this, but it's sealed. Like I have a US copy that's sealed with like the hype sticker and everything, and I wanted to keep it sealed and maybe sell it someday, so I decided to get this one as the play copy because it was at the local record store for pretty cheap, or decent price. Got this Dolly Parton album, Love is a Butterfly. Great cover. Been trying to buy more Dolly Parton albums because her stuff, especially her 70s stuff, is really excellent. Everyone's Got to Own This, Songs in the Key of Life. This one I believe has the booklet. Yeah. The booklet and the, I think it has the 7-inch that came with it too. Alright, this is Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits. Huge Bob Dylan fan. I have all his records pretty much. I'm going to do a video about all my Bob Dylan stuff sometime. But I've always wanted a copy of this with the poster, and this one has the poster, and it's an original 6i Columbia. And this album it's not something I listen to a lot or like care that much about, but it is kind of influential for me because it was the first Dylan album I bought. I heard Like a Rolling Stone on the radio, and I had to hear more, so I bought that. I was on tape actually when I bought it initially. This is pretty cool. The condition of the record's not that great, and I could never really find a super nice copy of this, of the vinyl of this, but this is Music from Big Pink by the band, and it looks a little different. It's got like lettering on it, which normally it's just the picture, but I found this at my local record store, and I was like, that's so cool. It's a UK copy, and it does sound better than the US copy sonically, actually. It just, it's not perfect condition. There's some noise on it, but I never find those in mint condition, especially the originals. This is The Doors, Waiting for the Sun. Not in the shrink, but it has a sticker on the jacket there. It's kind of cool. Original there. Another Doors album, Strange Days. It's the original gold label stereo. Not in amazing shape, but pretty good. Got Beach Boys' Smiley Smile. This album doesn't sound that good, or this particular pressing. It's like an original, but I just thought it was, I don't know. I was at a record store a couple hours away checking it out, and they had that there. I'm like, I'd like to own Smiley Smile. I've owned it in the past, and I thought I should buy it again. All right, we got this modern press of Heaven or Las Vegas by the Cocteau Twins. I never owned that before, and I've been getting into that album. It's really good. This is kind of a lesser known album, but I really like it. Scott H. Byram. I don't know if it's Byram or Byram, but the album's called Graveyard Shift. And there's a track on here that I really love called Lost Case of Being Found. I highly recommend just giving that track a listen. Really lo-fi, kind of gritty country folk music. This is The Doors. I showed my Monarch stereo pressing of The Doors. This is actually a mono that I found for relatively cheap. It was only $30, and it's the original. I don't know if it's, yeah, you can kind of see it there. It says, break on through to the Oher side, O-H-E-R. It's like a misprint spelling on the label, which means it was the first mono print of that. Not a perfect condition copy, but pretty good, actually, for most of it. The end has some noise on it, but that's about it. Okay, this got released this year. This is Ween's Chocolate and Cheese. And I have, all the Ween albums are really hard to find now, but they just re-released this one, which is still expensive because it's a triple album, or it's like a special edition with some bonus features on it. But I love Ween, big Ween fan. I have not talked about that in my vinyl videos yet, but I have all their albums, not original copies, but just all the represses, which are still really expensive because they just go out of print really easily and everybody wants them. But this is a really great reissue. This sounds a lot better than the old reissues, so I was glad to pick that up. Original copy of Houses of the Holy in really nice shape. I think I Frankensteined, did I Frankenstein this? I might have had like a different cover that I put on that one, but either way, it's a nice original copy. This is one I had never heard before, but I got it at that same garage sale I got the Wilson Pickett at. And it's Brown Rain by Victor Brady. Really interesting. He plays this hand drum thing. I forget the name of it, but it got like a real kind of interesting sound to it. And for a couple bucks, it's definitely worth it. It's actually kind of worth quite a bit more than I paid for it. But mostly it just looked interesting, and glad I picked that up. All right, now I'm also going to do the 5 most disappointing purchases of the year. So I put some aside. And they're disappointing for a variety of different reasons. This is one that I just can never find like a copy of I'm happy with. Like I said, I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan. I have pretty awesome copies of most of his 60s albums and a lot of his other albums too. Another side of Bob Dylan though, every copy I find is either, it looks nice in the store and then I take it home and it's like full of noise and full of scratches. This is the best one I found. This is a UK copy. But it also has noise on it. It's like, and then the ones I do find that are clean are like 70s presses, and it's like I like to, with Dylan, I'd really like to just get his originals, or at least like a 60s press. of all of those 60s albums. But for some reason, another side of Bob Dylan I can never quite find a great copy of. This is something I thought I had scored when I bought this, because this is an original, not an original, but like a second or third year UK copy of Led Zeppelin 4. And it was only like $25, $30. I was like, okay, a UK copy of Led Zeppelin 4 from the 70s, that's got to be kind of valuable. And it wasn't really that valuable, which is, I mean, the value's one thing, but then I played it and it really didn't sound very good. Like, it sounded far worse than the US copy I have. And other people were even commenting on that on Discogs, so I don't know why it would sound bad, but it just didn't sound very good. I don't know, really kind of lifeless and even distorted a little bit. So that was disappointing, because I really thought I found something pretty cool. And it is kind of cool as a collector's item, but not what I was hoping for. This one I don't regret buying, but it's a 6i copy of Miles Davis' Roundabout Midnight, and I paid $30 for it, which is a really good deal. And like I said, I don't regret buying it, but it had a little mark on it, and I thought it wouldn't play. I thought the mark would be fine. It was only over like one track, but that one track had like a little soft click, which that's the one thing that really bugs me, is when there's like a repetitive click on a track. It makes it really hard to listen to. So that one track's kind of spoiled. I'm still a really cool find. At least I didn't pay like a ton of money for it, but that was disappointing though, for sure. And then this is one I've actually bought a couple copies of Pet Sounds, and they're advertised as like VG copies, and there's always like a problem with them. Like this one I found at this boutique mall where all the records were way overpriced, like crazy overpriced, like copies of, like torn up copies of like Simon and Garfunkel albums for like $80, stuff, like really ridiculous stuff like that. But then they had this copy of Pet Sounds for $60, but it looked kind of rough, so I was like, that's cool, it's an original Pet Sounds. But then I saw a sign that everything was half price, so I was like, okay, $30 for that. I thought maybe it would play good, and then I took it home, and there was a part I thought was just some dirt that I needed to clean off, but it turned out to be a scuff that just like caused like this really awful sound on God only knows. So that was disappointing for sure. But you know, as I have a nice 70s press that actually sounds really good. These notoriously don't sound that great anyway, but that was definitely disappointing. And last but not least, or last and possibly least, I got a mono copy of Sgt. Pepper, and I have a really nice stereo copy, a stereo UK copy, and I'd always heard that the mono copies sound better, but then people say, well, with the US copies it doesn't really matter because the US copies just sound bad. But I found this copy for like $30, and it was in nice shape. It was a mono original. I'm like, it can't sound that bad, right? So I bought it and took it home, and it really does sound pretty bad. Just like muffled and distorted and just garbage sounding album. I don't know why they gave the US such bad sounding copies of those Beatles albums, but that's kind of the way it was. I mean, if I had like a suitcase record player, it probably wouldn't be that noticeable, and my system's not like amazing, but it's enough that I could totally hear the difference between like a good sounding copy and that. It was just, not great. But anyway, that's what I got for today. If you have any ideas for any other videos you'd like to see, let me know. I'm going to definitely try to think of some more and make some more vinyl videos soon. Thank you, and have a good day.